Hey friends, it's Alina, and in this video we'll be talking about the 5 things you need to know all around this full moon in Aquarius happening July 2021. So if that's something that interests you, then let's get started. What is up, y'all? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. In this video, we'll be diving into this July full moon happening on the 23rd or 24th, depending on your time zone. Now, this will be the first of 2 full moons in a row that will both be in the sign of Aquarius, specifically the water-bearing sign. In this video, we'll dive into why this full moon is so impactful, how we might expect to feel, how to potentially harness and align ourselves with this full moon energy. And as always, at the end, I will offer some customized full moon writing prompts so we can kind of journal and align energetically together. And yes, I got braids. In fact, I did them myself. I'm very proud of myself. And with all of that said, let's jump in. First things first, why is this full moon so important? As many of you already know, the full moon is seen as a time of culmination. Just as we see the light build from it being completely dark during the new moon all the way up to its peak in the full moon, so too can we feel heightened emotions, energy, and even clairvoyance and intuitive abilities. As well, all full moons occur when there is an opposition between the moon and the sun. Now, this opposition energetically between the opposing zodiac signs on opposite sides of the wheel can present tension every full moon. Now, let's look at the main influence of this full moon, that being that it is in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius will really be bringing in themes of innovation, intuitive ideas, and downloads potentially during the height of this full moon. Now, while we have those themes of innovation and how we can approach changing things in our lives and in our communities in a progressive way, we also see on the opposing side of the sun being in Leo, bringing in themes of looking out for number one, having very ego-heavy intentions, and looking at ways that we can shine above the rest. Now, every full moon, we experience this unique duality between the 2 different signs that are on the opposite ends of the zodiac wheel, and we're giving a unique opportunity to see the pros and cons of each. While on one side, we have the Aquarius energy of really being able to reflect on from new and innovative perspectives the different maybe challenges and aspects of our life that we're looking to expand within. On the other side, we have this Leo energy that on surface level can look like it's egocentric, can look like there's this energy or influence of just being kind of like the main character in a narcissistic way. There's also energy of looking out for oneself, of really caring for and putting ourselves and our energy first before the collective in a more healthy way. So exploring the themes around those 2 dualities will be very fruitful during this time, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into it in the journaling prompts near the end of the video. Next, what transits will be impacting this full moon? First, we'll have Cheremisinov. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it is the largest asteroid in our solar system, and it will be forming a conjunction with the full moon, also in the sign of Aquarius. Now, a conjunction in general between 2 astral bodies signifies unity and working together energetically. Now, due to the energy of Cheremisinov being that of healing energy, along with them both being in the sign of Aquarius, we're likely to see themes surrounding how we can heal from past pains or traumas and how that can be healing for others and the collective. This is not necessarily everyone's path, and everyone's path to that healing is unique. Next, Chiron actually entered retrograde on July 15th, and it is an asteroid that orbits between Saturn and Uranus. Now, similar to the asteroid Cheremisinov, Chiron, though it is an asteroid, has been acknowledged in astrology for centuries for its energetic influence in our lives. In fact, while in Western astrology, Chiron is labeled the wounded healer of the astral bodies in our solar system, in ancient Egyptian astrology, they actually labeled Chiron Anubis, the god of the afterlife and lost souls. Now, Chiron, being the wounded healer, is known to influence how we respond to triggers, past wounds, and how we transmute or process those past experiences to not only heal ourselves, but to heal the collective. And as Chiron or Anubis goes through retrograde, now is an optimal time where we can often be asked to process past triggers and experiences and be energetically supported to then come out through that with a better understanding of ourselves and the world. Now this means a few things. It doesn't mean that we might be triggered or experience something and then we're magically gonna fully understand everything that it means and why it's here in our lives. For many of us, this full moon might look like a lot of triggered people walking around not understanding how to actually process their emotions, how to actually process their experiences in a way that can help other people. And so they're just walking around triggered. And that's why during the full moon, it can be important to set healthy boundaries. It can be very important to be careful with, getting in fights with random people on the streets, because we don't know what others are going through right now. For you or I, if we experience a potential trigger or experience, we might be emotionally ready to process it. We might already know certain things that we can do, like talk therapy, journaling, articulating our feelings, having that emotional intelligence to really dive deeper into that. And that can be a powerful catalyst for us if we are ready for it. But not everyone necessarily is. And that's why during full moons with heightened emotions, with Chiron in retrograde, with this being in the sign of Aquarius, there can be a lot of emotional triggers for people. And so it is important to tread lightly through this season. And finally, before we move on, another important caveat I want to mention is that the process of transmuting our emotions to heal ourselves and others does not necessarily mean fixing ourselves, that we need to fix our problems. And once we're fixed, then we'll be a better person. It's more so about learning from the experiences, learning more about who we are and how those triggers have impacted us, dismantling them, deconstructing them, that we then, from that gained knowledge, can share that with others to potentially prevent them from going through the same thing or help others process it as well. Next, what should we expect to feel? First, as with all full moons, it is very normal to feel heightened emotions. These can look like triggers. They can also look like feeling emotionally or intuitively sensitive to the world around us. With the energy being higher, if you are an intuitive, if you are an empath, if you are claircognizant, clairvoyant, now can be a time where you might experience heightened downloads. This can be through dreams, through intuitive messages, and the ability to explore those things can be very potent during this time. As well, as mentioned before, potential triggers can, if you are emotionally ready for it, be potential catalysts to deeper self-understanding. A great example I can give in my life is last year, I actually reconnected with somebody from my past, from when I was very young, and we were having a great experience together. But they did something where they invalidated my emotions, where I expressed to them something that they did. They basically made a joke that was very insensitive, that they were used to doing when I was very young, that actually really hurt my feelings and invalidated my experiences. And as an adult, I was re-triggered. I experienced something that evoked another emotional response that was really hurtful to me. And for me, in that experience, as an adult, as somebody who had been doing the work, I was able to better articulate directly to that person how that was harmful to me. I was able to better directly articulate to them in a, balanced way, not in an angry way, say like, hey, I just want to let you know that the way that you responded to me, letting you know that that joke was harmful to me, was further harmful. You invalidating how I feel, it doesn't really make sense to me. It actually further harms me. And I said a bunch of things, but all of that to say that for me anyway is just a good example that's coming forward that I feel like y'all might be receptive to, of it being a trigger, but me being able to handle it in a different way than I would have when I was a kid. And also, after I said that to them, they actually did not respond in the way that I would have wanted them to. They actually doubled down on their toxic behaviors and did not want to acknowledge the harm that they did. And that in and of itself was, again, it was a negative experience, but my takeaway from that experience, my takeaway from that trigger is feeling proud of myself for being able to, in a level-headed way, stand up for myself and articulate a clear boundary. So I feel more confident in myself being able to do that in the future. All I can do is control myself, how I respond to things. I can't necessarily control how they respond to that, right? So I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I wanted to offer that as an example of how potential triggers can be catalysts for growth in our lives. Next, how do we harness this energy? As mentioned before, the full moon is seen as a culmination point, illuminating what has and hasn't been working for us, almost like a cosmic spotlight. This is why you see people doing full moon rituals, where they might write out what has not been working for them, what they're ready to energetically release, and they might destroy or burn that piece of paper to energetically let it go. I will link in the description and on the screen how I do my full moon rituals, a little guide to how to do one if you're new to it. But I highly encourage you to dive into what maybe your ancestors might have done during full moons, because most ancient societies had different rituals depending on the phase of the moon and how they responded to it, how they might have farmed, and so much more. And it can be very enriching to learn about our different cultures and how we approached the changing of seasons and the cosmos. And finally, now is such an optimal time for exploring shadow work. If y'all are interested in me doing a full video on shadow work, please comment below. But like I mentioned before, with Chiron going into retrograde, where we have Aquarius coming into play, bringing in that intuitive and innovative energy. And a lot of times in new age spirituality, we have the whole love and light, conversation, the whole spiritual bypassing of negative emotions, as if, no, we can only be in a positive, high vibing experience, when in reality, we can't appreciate the light without the shadow, right? That's why we need to also dive into what the shadow is, where it comes from. This can look like exploring, limiting beliefs, things that no longer serve us. So those themes right now with the full moon can be very conducive during this time. So I highly recommend looking into shadow work, and specifically looking into some journal writing prompts to help you dive deeper into it for yourself. Whew, all right, y'all, I've been talking a lot. I hope you've been vibing with me. But with all of that said, let's dive into these journal writing prompts. Now, what I'll do is I will put up the journal writing prompt questions. You're invited to pause the video once they're up, write them out, and when you're done, we'll come back. What are you most proud of yourself for over this previous month? For this full moon, is there anything that you're ready to begin energetically releasing? In what area of your life do you notice the most self-criticism and the least self-criticism? What does safely processing emotions, triggers, or experiences look like to you? Okay, so with those writing prompts out, I'm gonna go ahead and answer some of them for myself to kind of do a little catch up with y'all, update in my life, but also spark some conversation. So something that I'm ready to release in my life right now is worry. I've been working so hard on the 2022 Auralign planner line, doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. That way I can consistently put out more videos for y'all. And I recently learned about the law of assumption. Now, there's the law of attraction that is generally seen as, writing out, speaking out what you'd like to attract in your life. And the law of assumption really hones in with the idea of feeling and experiencing right now what you'd like to manifest. So a good example of this is, for me, I've been really in this state of kind of like worry and stress of like trying to get my work done. And I've realized that I've kind of but I could be creating, I don't know, just kind of like an energetic loop of just constantly being stressed. And more recently, I've decided to stop, pause, and ask myself, how would it feel in this moment if I had everything done? How would it feel in this moment if I had a clear schedule that gave me the peace of mind knowing that I would have everything complete? What would that look like? Just kind of shifting my energy into the energy of assumption, of assuming that it's already mine. I'm just really excited to release that worry for this full moon. That way I can really let in, kind of almost like releasing like a blockage of worry, that I can really let in the abundance that I know that I'm already manifesting and that I'm ready to manifest. I hope that makes sense. Now, something that I'm proud of over the last 4 weeks since the last full moon is I actually went on a vacation. What, a vacation? We haven't been able to go anywhere because of the sickness, COVID, all that stuff. And I'm really proud of myself because I did a lot of work ahead of time before we left on our road trip, going to San Francisco, all the way to Oregon, Washington, visiting friends and family. I did a lot of work ahead of time. I pre-recorded videos, that way I could be fully present in my vacation. So I'm really proud of myself for doing the extra work ahead of time. And for allowing myself to be on vacation, because I've just, I've been here making videos, working on the Auralign stuff for a while. So yeah. All right, y'all. If you made it to the end of this video, please comment maybe what you're ready to energetically release for this full moon. Have you heard of the law of assumption? Have you heard of Chiron, the rooted healer, Anubis maybe? And if not any of that, comment 3 water drop emojis to represent, Aquarius, the water sign. And as always, I thank you ahead of time, because when you comment and when you engage with my work, you're not only letting the YouTube algorithm, the powers that be here, know that you enjoy content like this, but you are helping small but growing creators like myself continue to grow. With all of that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote, and that is, be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey and not the destination. All right. Peace.